Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Thursday, February 26, 2015. During the show, we discuss recent Nintendo news as well as this week's new release and more. I'm your host, Alexander Cloughy, and today, no special guest. I am joined by Scott Thompson for a fun live show.
That's like the best introduction I've had. No special guest. We have Scott.
It's this will be good enough. So the thing was for this week, there wasn't a ton of Nintendo news until today. And there wasn't really anything that we could put at the front of our show as our super, super duper thing worth leading with. So instead of doing like Tingle's Gay and making that the top story, we're instead deciding to do the Spring 2015 preview. We're going to be talking about a lot of the games coming out through May, and hopefully it's going to be a real fun old time. So we have this list of about 7, 8, 10 games. I think we're only going to focus on like a few of them especially, but this is just a list of the general stuff that's coming out through May. At the top of it, coming out in like a week, we got Mario vs. DK Tipping Stars. DK Tipping Stars coming out on March 5th. That is Nintendo's first cross-buy game, 3DS, Wii U. It's made on their framework platform. It seems like another one of those mini marching games that are usually okay. Are you going to get this, Scott?
No, I'm not a huge fan of the Mario vs. DK games. I liked like Donkey Kong 94, which I think was one of the ambassador games, if I'm not mistaken. But I've never really gotten into this series. I do like that it is cross-buy. Like that's pretty neat. Of course, it's handled in a weird way because isn't it you get like a code to download it on the other platform when you buy it on one?
Yeah, it's not actually cross-buy. Yeah.
Because it's not like account linked, so presumably you can just give your code to someone else and then they can download it on a different platform.
So
I don't know if
so
that's
here's
good or bad.
the thing about that I'm a little iffy on is that it seems like Nintendo has some knowledge of which code goes on what system, like which code is used on what platform. Like I'm pretty sure that Nintendo will know if another Club Nintendo account uses a reward intended for another person's Nintendo Network account. I don't think they usually act on it, but I think they have the knowledge of that if they want it. Do you remember hearing anything like this?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I even wrote a news story for Nintendo World Report probably over a year ago now, where I think it was that promotion they were doing where if you got Fire Emblem, it was some of Fire Emblem and then Shin Megami
Shin Megami
Tensei
Tensei
4.
4. Yeah.
Wasn't it if you bought both of them, you got some like eShop credit or something like that?
$15?
Yeah,
Or is it
something like that.
25? It was a lot of money.
It was a lot, yeah. I think it was 25. It was substantial to the point where it's like it almost paid for one of the games entirely. But you had to register both games with Club Nintendo, and that gave you a code for it. And I remember I interviewed someone who had two Club Nintendo accounts when you're not supposed to, and like tried to do it twice, and somehow Nintendo like tracked it based on like redeeming the codes on the same hardware twice. And yeah, and then actually like ended up pulling all her downloads, everything she used to download the all the games she downloaded with that $25 credit, I should say. They pulled her rights from, so she couldn't actually play the games that she had downloaded and couldn't download them again. So that was pretty wild.
Right. So the general point here is that I think there's a chance that maybe they could say there could be this message saying this code is not intended for this system if they really wanted to. But it also seems like Nintendo is also pretty laid back when it comes to this stuff. Like, it's technically in the TOS. You're not technically allowed to give your Club Nintendo games away, and you're not technically allowed to do all these exploits, but, like, I don't think, like, you've heard of this Wii Mini exploit that's going around Club Nintendo, where people can actually make up these codes for Wii Minis, and that you can actually get like 700 free coins per account via this
Really?
kind of
No,
shitty
I haven't
exploit.
heard that.
Oh, it was a whole thing. You can't do it anymore. But there was this thing where like if you put these numbers and then you do like any combination of 9 numbers you can think of, and then it's within 10. There's this whole system. It was extremely easy to get like 7 surveys using like the Club Nintendo Family account, and I actually had some fun with that. It's thank you for those Duck Hunt posters, Nintendo.
Wow.
But it's
You were getting arrested tonight.
Yeah, the
That's all
SWAT
there is
team's
to
gonna
it.
break down my doors. No. It's so I don't think people are actually gonna get caught for that. It's more Nintendo's nature to just go like, hey, we're just not gonna allow you to use Wii Minis anymore. Because imagine if they did ban thousands of people who were using this exploit. Like it almost wouldn't be worth the trouble for a thing that's a site that's closing down.
Yeah.
It just seems like Nintendo's probably going to take the passive route, and either they'll not care, they're happy people are paying attention to the game and even buying it. Because even if a lot of people are turned on to the idea of let's split the money halfway and then we'll each take one code, that'll probably still be positive for the series sales.
What was I say? What's really, there's no harm in like your friend playing the game as well, right? Like there's no real downside to that if your friend was never going to actually buy the game himself. Like I don't
At
know that
least
it's
otherwise, yeah.
right. So I don't know that it's a losing situation if people are giving their codes to friends. So yeah, I've got no real issue with it.
hmm
And in fact, I said I
Uh,
would not get this game, but if someone was to give me their code, maybe now I'll play it.
It's also, just before we move on, the 3DS game that came out. If you're on Club Nintendo, you're looking for a game to spend your points on. You already got the Harmo Knights and all the physical games. The 3DS Mario vs. DK game, where it's kind of like that pipe thing, and it's different from the other Mario vs. That game's
Yeah.
real good. I actually recommend that one if you're looking for something to play. Moving on, Codename Steam is March 13th. I have not played the demo yet, but I am still excited to buy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't put the demo yet either. I was specifically waiting for the new 3DS, and I have the new 3DS, and I've just been like way too busy to even
Yeah.
bother at this
hmm
point. And now we're so close to it coming out. I'm like, well, I'll just wait. Like, why spoil anything at this point? But no, I mean, I love strategy games. I love turn-based strategy. And at first I was like, oh, it kind of looks a little bit like Valkyria Chronicles, which I adore. So I was like, yeah, I'm like totally into this. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's
good.
the fact that other people are excited about it, and the fact that Intelligent Systems, the maker of Paper Mario and Fire Emblem and Advance Wars, are making it. Do I really need to play the demo? If there was a
Right.
demo that came out, does that affect whether I'm going to buy this game as soon as I see the review? Like, no. So what's the point? It's an
Right.
exciting game. And I think it's just so cool that Nintendo's putting this focus on like these more Western styled Japanese games. Like it was this one, and then Harmonite was also a similar game where I think someone from the UK actually came up with the concept for Harmonite eventually,
Mhm.
and then Game Freak in Japan actually ran with it. I think that's from the Iwata Asks. So I think it's cool that Codename Steam looks like a Western game in some ways more than a Japanese game. Like
Right.
not that's not to say one's better than the other. It's just like it's different for Nintendo, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Fossil Fighters Frontier comes out on March 20th. I actually just rewatched the trailer for that. That game seems really simple. It
Hmm.
uh, it seems like so you get fossils by exploring this land. You get these really cool looking dinosaurs or vivisaurs, I think they're actually called, and then you pit them one against another in this monster battling, hopefully Pokemon style combat. And I've never played these games, but if they do really well, if they review well, if other people say, "Hey, this game's really awesome," uh, I'm not against another monster fighting RPG. Are you, Scott?
I'm not against it, but it doesn't really do anything for me. I have a hard enough time like trying to get through the Pokemon games, let alone what at least
Oh
in my
wow.
in my head is a knockoff Pokemon game, even if that's completely unfair to the series. I know people do love the series, and it looks all right. Like the trailer looked fine. It doesn't look like a bad game, but this as much as like Codename Steam is absolutely for me, Fossil Fighters is like the complete opposite and just not for me.
Right, and in worst case scenario, it's worth noting that despite the fact that it doesn't always look like it from the cover, Fossil Fighters is actually a Nintendo series. It's a really Nintendo
Yeah,
series.
yeah.
That I think it's actually made by their SPD group, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, that's coming out. That seems relatively cool. Mario Party 10 comes out on March 20th. It's we're going to be talking about that a little more later. I'm not interested in Mario Party because 90% of the games I play are solo, but you have a wife, Scott. You have some young kids. You have friends.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
are you going to buy Mario Party 10?
that F word I hear so much about, friends. Uh, yeah, no, I'm totally gonna get it. If you talk to Neil and I, like we absolutely love Mario Party 9. I feel like Mario Party 8, I feel like a lot of people played because it came out early on the Wii and everyone was all about the Wii, so I felt like it was pretty natural for people to grab it. Mario Party 8 was really bad. Really, really bad. Like just terrible motion control thrown in there for no reason. It looked really bad. But 9 was great. 9 was a lot of fun in like the most like basic Mario Party ways. So I'm all aboard with 10. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get it and have hopefully have a lot of fun with it. So yeah.
So let me ask you about 9 then. Did the fact that all the characters were moving at the same time, did that affect Mario Party for the worse at all? Because
Some people
they were all
complain about it,
powered.
like yeah, that was the whole conceit of the game is yeah, you travel together the whole time, which I thought allowed them to do cool things because now rather than just travel around the same board in a circle for 15, 20, 30 turns, whatever you set it to be, you're traveling together from start to finish. So they were actually able to do like more kind of Mario influence. So halfway through the board, you would fight a mini boss that would be like a piranha plant or a bullet bill or something, and so whoever ended up getting like the killing blow on the mini boss got extra coins, and there were different things like that. And then at the end of the board, you fought that board's main boss, which would then be some bigger Mario, universe boss. So it was really neat. I thought it was really well implemented, and yeah, really cool. So I like that.
Cool. So that's 320. And then Story of Seasons comes out on March 31st. That is the Harvest Moon-esque game, or it's actually straight up the next Harvest Moon game because the last one just came out. The one that so you know how that whole situation went with the Marvelous and then like the Exceed and then it's this whole messed up thing. The next Harvest Moon game is not called Harvest Moon,
Right, they
and
can't
that's
use the
coming out
name,
on
right?
March 31st. Right, because this whole like weird conflict that happened with the last Harvest Moon. So now we have two Harvest Moons. One of them's like the weird Minecraft looking one that was just released by Natsume.
Yeah,
It's Natsume and
yeah.
Exceed, who is marvelous. Um, so Natsume put out their own Harvest Moon because they didn't have the right to the actual physical games anymore, but they had the right to the name in North America. And then Exceed Marvelous had the right to Harvest Moon. So they ended up, or they have like the rights to the games. So then they ended up making their own Harvest Moon and didn't call it Harvest Moon in North. It's so weird, but this is the next Harvest Moon game. There
I
you
think your
go.
I think your roommates find this whole situation very hilarious, based
Hey,
on what I just heard.
is that distracting?
It's not distracting, but I think they are very amused by this Harvest Moon
Oh yeah, it
situation.
was pretty well timed. It's
What a mess.
what a mess. So next up, we got Devil Survivor coming out on May 5th. Devil Survivor 2. It's probably called Overclocked again, or it's called Over something. That's the sequel to that game that came out like soon after the 3DS's launch by Atlas, the
Yeah.
Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor, which are in both these games are based on DS games. Uh, a lot. I remember about the original Devil Survivor that a lot of people complained about it because it had no 3D in it, and it was right after the 3DS's launch, and it was a whole thing. And nowadays, like there are plenty of games like NES Remix that come out and just have straight up even less 3D than the 3D
Right.
cutscene they included at the beginning. So that's fine. And then Atlas does a sale on 3DS every few weeks.
Right. So
So
this game will surely be like $15 within the first three
it's
months.
$15 in every single sale they do. It's
Yeah.
without exception the first game. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in Devil Survivor 2, you want a Shin Megami Tensei game that's also a strategy RPG, you can get it for $15 probably next week. And that's based on no news I have, but it'll probably be next week.
Yeah.
So there you go. Hatsune Miku Project Mirai Remix on 5/26. That's coming, and that is the latest Hatsune Miku game. It's so okay. Here's the thing. Uh, I really like the Vita games, the Project Diva F and Project Diva F2. The first game is absolutely fantastic, excellent soundtrack, excellent rhythm gameplay, and it's great on the Vita because you can have your headphones and then no one actually has to watch you playing the waifu game on the big TV.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that, and and I think the second game, because there's the whole Vita anniversary sale this week, I think you can get the second game for like $20, which is real good for a really hefty rhythm game. So if you have a Vita, those games are super awesome. I heard this game, Project Mirai Remix, is even better, and it doesn't seem to play exactly the same way. Like it has like that weird note dragging thing that Theater Rhythm and Elite Beat Agents have, though I don't know if it plays the exact same way. And then it's like a more chibi art style than the games on Vita and PS3 have. But if these rhythm games are fantastic, they're some of the best rhythm games you can get. I'm really excited about this, and that's the reason why I focused on this one as like the only main non-Nintendo game I'm actually focusing on. Like we just skipped over like briefly Story of Seasons and Devil Survivor. I'm actually really hyped for this. Have you ever played a Hatsune Miku game, Scott?
No.
Okay.
I have
Any interest at all in a real good rhythm game?
We'll see. I don't know
We'll
that I will
see.
love the aesthetic. I mean, when you describe it as a waifu game, yeah, I don't know that really.
No,
appeals to me.
it's more than that. Like it's not like these hyper dimensions
Oh
Neptunian
man, we get
wars
emails
of
for
the
those,
world.
like peer emails for those every week, and I'm at work and I know like I can't open this at work because I know like I'm just gonna be lambasted with like half dressed anime girls, and I can't.
And like I joke about this being a waifu game because like the Hatsune Miku and all her stupid friends look like waifus, and don't get me wrong, if you go in the 4chan threads, they really are the waifu. But like it's it's more than that. It's charming and like sweet and like it's
Yeah.
kind of like adorable. Like it's not as blatantly like offensive as a lot of the other ones are. It's just
You know,
young kids having fun. Like there's no
yeah.
undertones that aren't created by the outside audience.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I do enjoy rhythm games. I guess if there was, on the off chance there was a demo, maybe I would try the demo and see how it fares.
And there often is, like, I think the Vita game has a demo, or the Vita games, so there you go.
Right.
And then the last, particularly largest game we're talking about, Splatoon is still announced for a broad May release. I have not played that yet because I was not at E3, but I'm going to be at PAX East, which we'll also be talking about later, and I'm really looking forward to trying it. Scott, you played Splatoon, didn't you?
Nope, I have not played it.
Oh, you weren't at E3 either, so we're
No,
completely uneducated.
but I'm very excited.
Well, yeah, because it looks like a real cool game. It looks like because everyone was always talking about like when's Nintendo gonna do their shooter? When are they gonna have their attempt at a shooter? And as I've said many times in the past, Splatoon is Nintendo's Pikmin for the Wii U. This is their new franchise. This is the big new video game player focused franchise. And based on that fact alone, I'm really looking forward to seeing what this is and how it turns out. Now, it seems like it's going to be multiplayer focused, and it probably won't have that much of a single player campaign.
Right.
At least that's what it sounds like based on what people are saying. So I'm skeptical. I'm going to wait until seeing what the early impressions are. But I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I mean,
You're gonna buy it sight unseen, Scott? Well, not totally unseen, but
well, I
kind
mean,
of
if
unseen.
if reviews come out and like it's like being lambasted, then no, I won't jump in. But assuming that it's at least like good, then yeah, I'm all for it. It looks like a lot of fun. They had showed more in a recent Nintendo Direct, and you kind of get the hub world. Kind of reminded me of Destiny a little bit. So it's like between matches, you can buy all these like outfits and different equipment for your characters, and then use those in the battles, which looked pretty cool. The one big concern is we had an article for like a preview from Famitsu come out, and it was hard. The translation's hard to really tell, but there was something about voice chat not really being present either in the game at all or at least partially. So there's differences of opinion based on the translation. It could be that there's no voice chat whatsoever, which would be terrible for a game like this, or it might be that you just can't voice chat with like random people that you don't know, so people that aren't on your friends list. And even that is kind of a bummer because, I mean, yeah, you can play matches with all friends, but more than likely you're going to be playing with people on your team who you probably don't know, and like to not be able to coordinate and work together through voice chat is to me a big letdown for a game that is entirely focused on multiplayer.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy debate. It's personally, I don't remember the last time I've played a multiplayer game with randoms. I'm pretty sure in the last 3 or 4 years, every single multiplayer session of any single game I've played has been over Skype or in party chat in whatever
Hmm.
system. Which isn't listen, more choice is always good, and it's a negative thing that it's not included here or won't be included in some context. And
Right.
there's still a few months left. There's still some time for Nintendo to see the decision and announce on Nintendo Direct, hey, we heard you guys talking about this. We're actually going to do this, and we're going to actually have all the voice chat you want,
And
and it'll be
honestly, it's
good.
not it's not that much of a fundamental change that it couldn't even be patched in later. So like even if it's too late now to go in and change it, it's not the kind of thing that like a day one patch couldn't add in, or a patch shortly into the game's lifespan. So I just think it's crazy. Like I get the fear of like kids communicating with adults, and maybe that's a weird situation. But I wrote an editorial about this, and I mean, a system level function of the Wii U is video chat, in which you can video chat with just anyone you friend through Miiverse, and you can friend anyone and not know who they are because all you see is a little me, and then all of a sudden you're 12 and you're talking to like a grown ass man through video. Like that's a bad situation. Like that's okay, but you can't like talk in Splatoon for 20 minutes in a match and then never see the person again. It's kind of weird to me.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird thing. Hopefully, Nintendo figures it out, and then hopefully Splatoon. Hopefully, all these games end up being amazing.
Yeah.
Just quickly before we move on, I'm guessing we'll be in agreement here. But is the most exciting game out of all of these not codename Steam? It's if we had to pick a winner of which game we're the most hype about out of these spring 2015 releases, I think we're both gonna say codename Steam. With
Yeah,
Splatoon as second.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like Mario Kart will be fun. And I guess I really wasn't all that on board with everything else. I know you've got some more that you like a little bit more than me, or at least more interested in. But
Yeah.
Codename Steam for sure is number one. I think it helps too that I'm just so excited about the new 3DS. Like I can't wait to have more games to play on it. So
Mhm.
that helps too.
Excellent. Moving on to new releases. Donkey Kong Land 1, Donkey Kong Land 2, Donkey Kong Land 3, Donkey Kong Country 1, Donkey Kong Country 2, Donkey Kong Country 3 all came out on the virtual consoles for Wii U and 3DS today with a bonus sale. Buy one of these 6 games and get 30% off Returns 3D or Tropical Freeze. I want Country 1 through 3 on 3DS more than anything else.
Which
But
you
it's
won't get.
so cool. It's so cool that these games all came out and with pretty much no announcement beforehand. Just we knew they were going to be coming sooner or later. We knew there was going to be something. But it's real cool that all the whole series they didn't space them out at all. They just threw them all on
Right.
the.
I love this move. Like I think how like about how the Mario games have been doled out, how the Mega Man games across both platforms have been doled out. Like I love this approach to just here you go. Here's like 6 great games all from the same series. Like have at them. Pick the
Yep.
ones you want. We're not going to make you wait. Like if you really love 3 for some reason, Country 3, we're not going to make you wait 6 weeks to get it. Here you go. It's here right alongside 2 and 1. That's fantastic, and I kind of hope that the sales support them moving forward with this approach. Like it would be great to just every now and then on a week, you get like 5 Mario games or 5 games from the same series, or even 5 notable virtual console games in general, because we don't even really get that anymore. So
Right. It's yeah, we have space for that too. I don't think a single Wii game has come out as part of this thing since the original 3, at least in North America. I don't know about the other territories. And I think we're overdue for a week like this where 5 Wii games come out.
yeah.
It's that's really cool. Which one of those is your favorite out of the 6 games? I think Country 2 is the best game overall.
Oh yeah, Country 2 is easily the best. I joke about Country 3. It's actually pretty good. It's not bad. It's probably better than 1. I'm not a huge fan of 1 anymore. Time hasn't been too kind to it. I feel like 2 they really refined it. And the Donkey Kong Land games, I had all 3 of them as a kid, but I can't remember them as fondly. They are all like good. They're fine games, and they're different. Like they do have unique levels and everything. It's not like reprints of the Donkey Kong Country games just on the Game Boy. So
Okay, so they didn't pull a Mega Man and make it like this handheld approximation of console game. Like
I mean,
these
they're
are
still
literally 100% total new
they are
games.
still very much trying to capture the essence of the country games, but no, the levels it's entirely different levels. I mean, different same settings, mind you, but they are different.
Okay, cool.
But they don't look
Oh,
great. Like you need to brace yourself for that. Like they were really trying to capture the art style of country, and it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't work great on Game Boy. So just you have to be braced for that. But
let me ask you then. All 8 Donkey Kong Country games have been in discussion
okay.
as part of this week's new eShop releases. What is your favorite, including Returns and Tropical Freeze? Is it still do
God.
we still think 2 is the best one, or do you think these two actually add a little bit of a difference to it? I
Mm,
actually think Donkey Kong Country Returns is my favorite overall.
Tropical Freeze is my favorite overall. I because I just love the inclusion of the other characters, and the music is just so much better. And I feel like the level design's a little bit better too.
Yeah.
But both Returns is very good too. See, like a Country 2 is the best of the country games, but by today's standards, like they're very difficult. They don't. I mean, a big draw was the look of the games back on the Super Nintendo. The fact that it was able to pull off that look, and it doesn't look great now, especially on a TV. Like you said, Country would almost be better served on 3DS
Hmm.
because the sprite work wouldn't look as bad blown up on an HD TV. So yeah, I'd go the modern ones, but 2 is very good.
Okay, cool. Ironfall Invasion also came out, the third-person shooter from VD Dev that seems like Nintendo was publishing it, or not that they were, but it seemed like during the direct that this was actually a Nintendo published game, but it actually turned out to be a completely independent
Oh,
title. It's a third-person shooter, has single-player and multiplayer modes. It takes advantage of the new 3DS. I'm not going to get it, but it's cool that it's notable enough to mention it here out of
yeah.
respect, but it's not for me. I'm not really interested in shooter on a handheld unless it's with full twin stick action. Like Killzone Mercenary is the only like full on shooter that I've ever been 100% comfortable with on any kind of handheld ever, even
Mm,
including Metroid Prime Hunters and Moon and all those other attempts at it. Like
sure.
I think Kid Icarus kind of counts, but that's even more of a Star Fox game almost in some
Yeah.
ways, like the shooter parts. I would argue like until Nintendo puts out a handheld that has like full twin stick functionality and isn't a nub, that's when we're going to have our first Nintendo shooter that's really, really worth going, okay, I need to play this. But who knows, maybe this game's awesome. I
You know,
haven't heard that yet.
to me, shooters, because they are kind of the same at a fundamental level, to me, it's much more about the spectacle. So
Hmm.
it's hard for me to imagine going back and playing a shooter today that is like has the power of like a GameCube game. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
Yep.
It's hard for me. I don't enjoy the gameplay enough that alone would let me overlook like sort of kind of crummy graphics in a way. Whereas other genres of game, I'm totally on board with no matter what they look like on the 3DS. I mean, I love Fire Emblem Awakening. Characters don't even have feet. Like that doesn't bother me. It's mostly little like sprites except for the battle animations, and like still like that's totally fine. But yeah, shooters to me just don't translate to being like downsized to a handheld, except for the Vita, of course, which has the horsepower to make them look at least somewhat modern. But
But even then, like almost every single attempt at this has been squandered. Like
yeah.
Uncharted's good and Killzone's pretty good, but Resistance Burning Skies and Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified,
Oh
they're
yeah, that was really bad.
real bad games that are. And by the way, Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, if you want a really horrible game that's 50 minutes long, you can spend $10 on that this week on the PlayStation Store. And by the
That's
way,
terrible.
I'm guessing its online probably isn't even active anymore, so all you're left with is really the 50-minute single-player campaign. So maybe you could do worse than Ironfall Invasion.
Yeah, fair enough.
But hey, Killzone's dope. Moving on to news, investors meeting. The third week in a row we're talking about investor stuff. The Q&A came out, or the translation for the Q&A came out on Tuesday, and Nintendo has a pretty few good tidbits on it. They noted that Nintendo is frustrated with video games, that they're frustrated that there's this resistance to changing, and like they don't like how gaming is like kind of stagnant. So they want to go out of their way to redefine video games, and more than that, redefine entertainment. And quality of life is going to be their first main attempt at that, but it's not necessarily going to be just health stuff. They want to expand. They want to do more, and they want to make video games more than they have been in the past. And that's not to say they're distancing themselves from traditional video games. Like Iwata made that very clear. He has this quote that our strategy for the next 10 years is to change the definition of entertainment and expand the area that Nintendo can do business in. So it's not going to be like instead of video games, it's going to be more than video games. And that seems pretty cool. They talked about the new 3DS XL, and they talked about why they held it back to US and Europe for 2015. And as many of us probably expected, it was the result of stock issues. That they could have probably put it out in US and Europe in 2014, holiday 2014, but it would have been even more constrained stock than it is now. And with Japan, it turned out it was just easier to sell it in Japan and Europe, or excuse me, Japan and Australia, because they're closer to China where the systems are being made. So it
gets there faster. Yeah, they restock faster. Yeah.
Right. Which makes sense that Iwata admitted, like, we made the wrong decision here. Not like they made the wrong decision, but they should have been well prepared, and that it was a difficult decision. They said in hindsight, the actual results and reactions to the launch of Nintendo 3DS tell me that, yes, we would have actually sold way more if we put this out in the holiday. Which, I mean, it actually did pretty well in North America, even compared to Japan. Which he also noted, like, part of the reason why Japan didn't, the new 3DS didn't do so well in Japan was because, like, Japan is, like, a lot more one-track. So instead of, like, Japan having plenty of people buying Wii U and 3DS, a lot of people were focused either on Wii U or 3DS, so the other one didn't get Japan's complete focus. They said that it's also noted that the new 3DS launching in Japan last Christmas it took focus away from the Wii U. That's the main point here. Lastly, he said that the Wii U could only need one game to turn its tides around. Following the generally accepted theory of platform life cycles, it is natural for you to presume that the sales of the Nintendo 3DS will drop X% each year, or we cannot expect a huge increase in Wii U sales. However, on another front, we have witnessed one single software title completely change the entire picture of our business many times. Now, for this, I ask you, Scott, if it wasn't Smash Bros. And it wasn't Smash Bros., if it wasn't Mario 3D Land and it was not Mario 3D Land, and if it wasn't Nintendo Land and it was not Nintendo Land, all that's left is Zelda, Animal Crossing, and any new, super new ideas that they have left. Do you think one of those games has the potential to actually go, holy shit, I need a Wii U? Because Zelda being like one of the greatest games of all time is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah,
that could really
it has to be Zelda. Like that's really it at this point. Like you said, they've tried a lot of different like quirky things. Nintendo Land, they even brought Wii Sports to Wii U to no avail.
Which did nothing, yeah.
Right, to sort of try to capture what made the Wii so successful. But people had already moved on by that point. I mean, I don't know that anyone's pining to play more Wii Sports. Yeah, so it's totally Zelda, and I think that ties back into sort of how I feel the TV show should be handled that we're hearing might be produced for Netflix, is tie it to the game. Like, get that many more people interested in wanting to check out the game. Like, it's fine if you have a Zelda TV series that it's its own thing, but if you can somehow tie into the game and get people into the show, then maybe people are thinking, wow, I need to get a Wii U because I need to see the rest of the story. I need to see the side of the story I'm not seeing in this Netflix series. So I need to get this game. Like, to me, you're reaching a whole new audience and then pulling them in to the Wii U. Like, that, to me, that's the only way to do it. If they don't do that, I don't know what they can release that everyone's going to suddenly look at and go, well, I need to get the Wii U. I don't know that they can ever have, like, a Halo situation where Halo came out, everyone was like, holy shit, this Xbox is for real. Like, we need to get Xboxes right now.
Right.
I don't know if they can do that.
I don't know if they can either. it's really down to how good and how far-reaching Zelda is. Because I think a lot of like what happened with Skyrim. Not to say Elder Scrolls wasn't huge in the past or big in the past, but Skyrim kind of took Elder Scrolls popularity to the next
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Like I remember being in high school at the time, and like everyone I knew, like even if they weren't normally into video games, was talking about how many hours they dropped in Skyrim. Like it was an enormous, like actually Halo tier game. So I hope Zelda becomes that, not just because I want the Wii U sales to improve, but more because I think it would be so cool if, for the first time since Wind Waker, a Zelda game came out in which people played it and immediately went, "Holy shit! This could be one of the best games ever."
Yeah.
Like, because Link Between Worlds, as good as some people said it was, I don't think that many people are talking about it anymore. Skyward Sword had a lot of fluff in it, even though it was also an amazing game. I think it didn't quite reach that, and then Twilight Princess certainly didn't reach that. I hope this is the Zelda that changes everything for the first time since Wind Waker, especially since it's an open world game. There's a lot more potential for that. It would be so nice to like be around during that. Like if everyone just starts freaking out about Zelda again,
Yeah.
that would be really nice.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next story, Mario Party sales. The series sales came out, 39 million worldwide, which means that Mario Party is a pretty high-tiered Nintendo franchise. Because for 15 million games, or excuse me, for 15 games probably in the series, because there's 10 main ones. There's GBA, DS, 3DS, so maybe even 13 games.
13 probably, yeah.
That's 3 million per game on average. Now, like the Wii ones probably sold like 5 or 6, and then maybe the GBA one sold like 0.8. But it's 3 million on average per game. Like a lot of games that are coming out now, AAA like mass market games, don't reach that.
Yeah.
So at the very least, like Mario Party is clearly an A- or B+ Nintendo franchise, which I never knew before. Because like we always hear about Mario Party, it seems like this eternal Nintendo thing, but I don't think a lot of people, especially myself, has really thought about how well of a series it actually performs. Like it's just not something you think about it. You don't think about it the same way you think about it for Smash Bros. Or Pokemon. So now it's nice to have a number attached to it, where at the very least this is a major Nintendo franchise, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then also, just something worth adding, is that the Mario Gold amiibo was confirmed. Hopefully they make them enough for Walmart. They won't. And then that'll be that.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, have you already seen the screenshots of the gold amiibo now on eBay already?
Yeah, it's like $150. We don't even know how many they're gonna make. Nintendo probably doesn't even know how many they're gonna make, like in this exact moment. Wow, $150 for a theoretical product.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is silly to me. This is the first one where it's like totally fluff. Like if you're really pining to get this, then you are just out of your mind. Like I can see trying to get every single individual one, especially if you're worried you won't be able to get to like use it in a game where it has implementation. Like I'm playing Kirby the Rainbow Curse right now, and it's like it'd be kind of cool to have King Dedede and Meta Knight and be able to use them in the game. But they are so rare that I will never have them, and I'm not that worried about getting them. But this gold Mario amiibo, it's like, come on, there's already going to be 2 different Mario amiibo now that you can collect. Like, you don't need this gold one. So if you're really freaking out over it, like, you've lost your mind. And I'm okay with it being exclusive for that reason, because it's not the only Mario. Like, it's fine to have a collector's item as long as people can have access to a non-special version that still has the same use. So I don't mind it being exclusive. I don't mind the gold thing, but people really gotta let it go. Like this isn't the same thing as amiibo everyone wants not being stocked, like just regular random amiibo. So.
Yep. It's I guess we were talking about this before the show, but I'm kind of on the outside of this. Like I have a little Mac amiibo, and I have a Pikachu amiibo, and I really want a Villager amiibo if they ever make more, and then also like a Captain Falcon and Charizard one maybe. But outside of that, those are the only 5 amiibos I would probably ever want that I think would get made. Like I don't think they're gonna make a Duck Hunt one, even though I really hope they do. Even I though, like a gold amiibo does sound like weirdly appealing to like the. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna wait anywhere. It's just if they make enough, then I have Walmarts around me, at least at home. I would, if I'm gonna buy a Mario amiibo at all, and Mario is obviously gonna be the most compatible amiibo to any Nintendo software that
Hmm.
exists.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't I get the gold one?
If you
It's
can, yeah.
right.
My approach to Amiibo at this point has been like if I'm just casually on Twitter and I see like one of those several Amiibo Twitter accounts go like, hey, like GameStop has the Mega Man Amiibo available now for order, and I've got the money, like, oh, okay, well then I'll order that. But I'm not going to like scour the web trying to find it. I'm not going to go on eBay. I'm not going to wait at stores at like 8 a.m. It's like if I'm somewhere and I see it, like I'll pick one up because I do like them, but in no way is this going to like take over my life or I'm going to have to like I really want to shulk, but I'm not buying one secondhand. I'm not that worried about it. If I see one, I see one. If not, I'll survive.
That sounds like a plan. Let's close. Let's close on the PAX East lineup. Nintendo announced this morning their lineup for PAX East, and the reason why this is a little newsworthy for everyone, regardless of whether you're going to PAX East or not, is that Nintendo wasn't at PAX East last year, and I was surprised, and I actually thought it was a mistake that it leaked from the. Not even leaked because it's PAX East, but it kind of came out that Nintendo had a space on the booth for. Like I just assumed it was a mistake at first. But Nintendo is actually appearing. They're going to have the E3 build for Splatoon. They're going to have Codename Steam. They're going to have Monster Hunter and Majora's Mask 3D, which, yeah, of course they will. They're going to have Xenoblade Chronicles X, which is the one game I'm really
Yeah,
looking
that's
forward to
pretty cool.
trying out. And they're going to have Puzzles and Dragon Z and Super Mario Bros. Will be there. Except I think Puzzle and Dragon Z, if you want that, that'll only be at Gung Ho's booth. And then they said that there's going to be some stuff for players who want to put their amiibos on and then fight each other in Smash Bros. 3DS. So that's all cool. I remember PAX East 2012, and that was a couple months after I came to the site, and that was a really fun time.
Oh
Just
yeah.
Nintendo's booth there, because they gave out just free to whoever wanted it. They gave out uh, Kid Icarus T-shirt, which I still actually have somewhere in my room, and I actually still wear it sometimes. They gave out a huge Xenoblade poster, and they gave out some lanyards, and then they gave out some other stuff too if you wanted it. And then like it slowly decreased. Like in 2013, they gave out like specific prizes on each day. I think the one I remember is a Wii U bag, like one of those spaghetti string bags, and I think I might actually have that around. Oh, here it is actually. All right, here it is, the Wii U tote bag, or the not tote bag, but the spaghetti string one. They gave this out in 2013, so that was really cool. 2014, they just straight didn't show up, and then that was the first year we didn't get our panel at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was a double whammy. Though we actually have a really good episode from PAX East and Connectivity if you want to listen to that, where we actually did this real bootleg. We went off to a corner and then we actually recorded our own pirate panel of the
Hmm.
game shows, and we actually got fans of the site. It was a real fun time, and then we had some end of day stuff too. So listen to that episode if you're interested. Now this year, it's kind of like bittersweet because we still don't have our panel because it seems like PAX East just isn't interested in Nintendo panels really anymore or specialized Nintendo ones. Uh, but at the same time, Nintendo's coming, so we'll see how it goes. Speaking of which, something I want to close this show on is that we are going to be at PAX East. Scott is going to be enjoying his time in sunny Florida,
That's right. You guys have
but
fun with
it's
all that snow.
but I'm gonna be there. Neil's gonna be there. Zach Miller, Zach Kaplan, Addison Webb, Jared, and I think that's everyone. But and then even more people maybe. So there's gonna be people. I'm so sorry to any staffer who watches this and I forgot. It's but we're all gonna be there. We're gonna have gatherings. We're gonna play video games together. We're gonna get Chinese food on Saturday that you're probably welcome to join us on. It's fans always are, and then it's gonna be a good time. So if you see us there, feel free to say hi. Watch the site because we're gonna have a lot of dope content. And then that's Nintendo World Report's Nintendo News Report for Thursday, February 26, 2015. I'm Alex Kalafi. He's Scott Thompson. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you didn't like in the comments. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.